How long have you been podcasting for, you know?
How do I pronounce your name?
Marcio.
Marcio. Okay. So I've started this YouTube channel about 6 months ago,
Mm.
and I have been writing on medium.com for almost 3 years now.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, I have really good following there, and then I'm trying to build the same on YouTube. Also have a full-time job at Advent Health.
Yeah, I saw that in your email signature.
That's where I spend most of my time, but this is a passion of mine to bring the stories of people like you and share with others so that they can kind of see how their life can turn, how they can grow their career from the beginning stage to like 10, 15, 20 years.
Mm. And what do you do at Advent Health?
I'm a senior manager there. I manage the activation for the consumer application. So they have adventhealth.com, Advent Health mobile apps, and bunch of other applications. So the majority of the focus is connecting the backend EMR system with this application so that patient can log in and see their health record, book an appointment with the doctor, do a virtual visit. So it pay their bills. So it's a bunch of application, bunch of features in one place for the consumer. So my role there is to coordinate with all the people within the department and outside the department. So I have Scrum Masters in my team, and there are other people who directly or indirectly report to me. So my purpose there is to build the new features, have it tested, have it properly communicated within the company and outside the company that this is something coming, and then release them. So I'm basically connecting all the dots between engineers, product owners, scrum masters, outside the department, people who support our patients and all that. And on a typical release, a big release, I coordinate with at least 50 to 70 people.
Wow.
So that's my full-time job.
Oh, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, and that's what make it fun. Why my job exist is to make sure all these people are working together.
Mm-hmm.
If I see a gap, that's where I chime in. I will first let you speak about what you do, what your business is, how much you charge for those, anything that you want to plug, share all that detail.
So again, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's a real pleasure to meet with you. You seem like a really nice guy and to share with you. So about me, my name is Marcio Santos. I am the founder of Nerd Digital, and what we do is we help course creators scale to 6 figures in 6 months, as quickly as we can. And so you asked about the cost. The cost is $5,000 to get started, and then you don't pay again until you cross 6 figures. So it's very simple, the payment method that we have. We only offer one program right now, so that's how it works.
Okay, paying $5,000 to begin with, is that a challenging for people to sign up, or you find many people?
It really depends on the profile of the customer. It really depends. So if you're a small course creator if you're a course creator that's never launched your course, you don't have any sales, we're not a good fit. Right? We're a really good fit for somebody that has a course and wants to scale their sales. So that's really who we work with, is helping companies that have already validated that there is a market, that people are willing to buy their course. Their course is structured, and really what we're doing is we're helping them to implement these 3 fundamental areas for success for their course that they usually overlook, or they don't go really deep enough on the fundamentals to get the maximum out of their course.
You talk about 3 steps and you talk about 6 figures. So let's dive deeper. How do you help them? What do you do for them?
So the way we work with them, is we essentially work with them through coaching, but we also provide some, I would say, done for you services. So most of the engagement is usually through coaching. We have really organized systems and a course
Mhm.
of our own that we teach our clients, and we walk through the worksheets and all the ideas and frameworks with them step by step. And our program is divided up into 3 phases. So our first phase is on refining your offer. So we make sure that the way you speak about your product, the the value proposition, and the avatar are really well refined and ready to go to market. And that usually takes a few weeks of work, of research, of understanding them understanding their consumer, them refining a little bit of their language. And then the second phase is helping them build or improve their funnel. So how do they convert visitors to their website into leads and then into prospects that are ready to buy their course? And then finally, in phase three, we actually help them launch. And so that involves sending traffic into their funnel and then executing an actual launch sequence, which is usually like a series of emails that
Mhm.
builds excitement and anticipation for your course launch.
Okay. And as you said, I'm assuming it's a weekly type coaching sessions.
Right. So some clients need more help than others, right? And so some, even if we always have a weekly call, but there are some clients that will send me daily emails, even
Okay.
multiple emails a day, or we have them on Slack as well, and depending on where they are in the program, they will need more or less handholding and more or less support. And so, yeah, that's how I would say it. There's always like a weekly call opportunity, but there's always opportunity as well for them to reach out through Slack, or even I even have clients on my WhatsApp sometimes messaging me. So
You're a one-person team or you many people?
we have a handful of people. So we have our VA, we have a developer, and a creative person that
Okay.
that helps us. Yeah, small team so far.
Who is the ideal person that typically buy your course?
So the people
Or
that usually buy our program are people that already have a course, they've already have some sales, they've already, it's sold at least 20,000, 30,000 with their course. And really what they've gotten to a point where they feel overwhelmed with all the work that goes into promoting their course and converting people into customers. That's usually the best customer for us, because we're able to implement our system into their website, into their
Mhm.
technologies and everything. And there's always an opportunity to refine how they speak about their course, because usually at this point, when people get to this point in sales and volume, they do it because they already have an audience, or they do it because they had this offer and they were able to, usually they have some kind of experience. They were a coach or a consultant, or they were working 9 to 5, and they transform what they know into a course, and then they sell that. But oftentimes they don't work with the professional marketer to
Mhm.
really enhance their copywriting and how they speak about their product. And so there's small tweaks that you can do on about the way you speak about your course that can greatly enhance the value of it without actually having to create a new course. So it's a really high leverage type of work. It's really fun.
I think you said 20,000 sales or something. That probably the time when somebody is thinking that I already know everything, and that's where you are chiming in to fine tune them. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's fun. One of the common threads that I see very often when speaking with customers, one of the starting points is a lot of the courses, when they speak about their course, instead of speaking about the outcome of their course, they'll speak about how they delivered their course. And so, for
Mhm.
example, if you had a course on podcasting, for example, there's one way that you can speak about it, which is how to create a podcast. Another way to speak about it is how to build an audience. And
Okay.
another way to speak about it still is how to generate revenue online. The,
Okay.
the means to generate the revenue and the means to generate the audience would be through a podcast,
Right.
right? Versus creating a podcast. Because
Right. So
at the end of the day, you have to understand what is it that your customer really wants? Do they strictly want to have a podcast? Because anybody could set up a podcast, but how do you set up a successful podcast that generates money without certain obstacles that people usually face with the podcast? So that's the first place where we start with our customers, is helping them really understand and hone in on what makes them unique about their course and what they know.
Mhm.
And how can we enhance that? How can we speak about the outcome in a way that's very measurable and very specific and meaningful to their avatar?
I don't know if you know Thiago. He has been doing YouTube video for a long time. And recently I saw that he came up with a course with like 1,500 for the basic one to up to $3,000. I guess people like them are the ideal candidate or the customer for you.
Yeah, so Thiago Forte, I do know him. He's the creator of Building a Second Brain.
Yeah.
And his course is actually too big for us. Once you get to a size like that, they're usually ready to hire a full-time staff.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, they're usually hiring multiple people to help promote the course, help build their funnels, help set up their ads, and do everything else that they need, whether that's running their Twitter, their newsletters, their emails, and all the back end stuff. They usually have like a team of dedicated people to get to that size, plus the admins to help run the course once the course is live, because I know he runs a cohort-based course.
Yeah. And you are so clear about who you're targeting and who you're not targeting.
Yeah, that's an important thing that we also teach our clients is this is so one thing that you can take away from this if you're listening is, if you're not clear who you target, a good way to become more clear is simply to state who you will not accept, right? Who is not a good fit for your course. When you state who's not a good fit, the people that are a good fit become more clear. And when you're able to become clear, at least with yourself, with your own course and with your own value, the value that your course offers, it makes it more compelling when you put it in front of the right customer. Because we're all in this game of, trying to get attention for what we sell, right? We're on podcasts, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, we're using these platforms as a way to amplify what we have to sell. And if we can be more clear with, right, if we can have one specific solution for one specific audience with one specific vehicle, then that automatically makes us a very clear solution for one specific person. And the good thing about that is that every time we go out to market, whatever we share, we're more likely to convert people. We're more likely to be able to charge them more. And by doing those two things, we inevitably become a more profitable and successful business.
That's so true. But at the same time, I'm making it more conversational so that we can give more glimpse of the thought process, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's at the same time, it's really hard to do as a content creator. And I will give you an example. In my mind, I'm thinking I have a very specific audience when I think about who these videos are for. These are people who are in their early career journey or in the middle of the career journey, but has been doing the same type of work for 5 years and now trying to see what next is for them. So at one end, I feel like this is my audience. When I see my stats, I see people from 55 to 65 are almost 23% of the audience that I have, which I didn't start with. So now I have this at this, and now I'm also thinking the type of content that I will have, like time management, goal setting, or things related to career, communication skill, or interpersonal skills. These also apply to people who are in business or entrepreneur or doing solo. So now my range has increased, and my the from narrow, it's becoming more wider, in terms of different type of career. And in my head, I'm still thinking logical, but I know I have this gut feeling that it's becoming wider than I originally thought. So how do you like as a content creator or course creator, how you help them still be narrow like you are?
Hmm. So there's this really nice activity that we do with our clients. It's called
Okay.
the customer quadrant. And what we do in the customer quadrant is we help them to get clear on who they should focus on. And as you described with your audience, right? So you have this group of, and the customer quadrant, it kind of gives it away that there are usually four parts that you can segment your market into. There is, at the low end, there is this uh, customer that is in your market, but they're very small, right? They're not ready to buy. They don't have enough pain, and they kind of sitting on the fence. Then you have the second group, the second tier, the second quadrant, which is, yeah, they have, if we go to your example with careerists, right? So you could have somebody that's fresh out of high school,
Mhm.
they're looking for a job, but they don't have money to buy a course from you, and they don't have money to pay for your consulting for you to help them with their
Mhm.
career advice that you have. Then you might have a second group, which is, okay, they're fresh out of college. Sure, they're fresh out of college, but also they wouldn't have money perhaps to buy a course, or maybe they wouldn't have money to buy
Right.
your coaching. Then you have this other group, which would be, they already have a job and they're looking for a better job.
Right.
That's another segment. And then the last segment would be people that have amazing jobs and they're actually looking for a job that gives them more time freedom.
Yeah.
So they're all in the market of looking for a better career, but they're all at different phases.
Right.
And I would probably say that quadrant number three, the third group, is the one that you would want to focus on most, right? They already have a job and they're looking for a better job. Well, they have money to pay for a consulting service with you, or coaching, or a course from you, and they have enough pain.
Hmm.
They are going to work every day and they hate their job, or they hate their boss, or they hate the industry, or they're afraid that the industry is going down, or whatever it is. There's enough pain in there, so they're like, okay, I'm going to take action on this course, I'm going to take
I
action and
see.
buy it. If there's no pain, you can't, you, people just won't buy.
It was a good exercise.
Cool, I'm glad you like it.
Coming back to your course, these are a glimpse of the services that you do with your customer as part of the coaching, and you take them from point A to point B, where they are selling even more than what they were selling before they joined you.
Correct, yeah, our goal is to get them to six figures fast. And so our promise is, we'll get them there in 6 months, and if we don't, we'll simply continue working with them until they do.
My friend Courtney, I interviewed her, and she's working on a course. What's your advice for people like them who are new and obviously have to grow enough to be able to pay for the services? So, what's your advice to people like those?
It really depends, it really depends, because
Mhm.
I would need to know where she's at, what is missing. I mean, she could book a free call, then I can give her advice, right?
Okay.
That's always something that I do as well. If there are other coaches out there, other consultants, if somebody has a course and there's a book a call opportunity, I'll usually book a call so that I can pick people's brains.
Okay.
And even if you come away from the call with one tip, it can usually be very, very helpful. I think the main thing I would tell Courtney is not to skip the fundamentals. Don't skip the important work of figuring out who it is that you serve, and what is it that the pain that they're in, and what is that outcome. How can you paint that outcome in the best
Mhm.
way possible, so that your customer really wants to have that. I think two other tips I would share for that are, um, when one way to make things more appealing, right, to refine your offer, are to think about what are the systems that your customer is usually struggling with to get the outcome. So if we go, what is her course on? What is Courtney's course about?
Oh, it's for managers to become a better manager. Like it include one-on-one, it include how to treat your employee, how to coach them, how to do feedback, and everything that a manager, a new manager needs to do or need to learn so that he or she can become a better manager.
And is that a manager in what type of company or industry?
I don't think it applies that way. It's a
So,
more generic.
so if I took this course, could I use it in a SaaS company? Like if I'm working in a SaaS product, like would you think her course would be useful?
I think so because it's more on the people management side, and how do you basically treat your employee better so they are more productive. SaaS company or a manufacturing company or a software development company.
Hmm. Yeah. I hear, things like that, like offers like that, where it's like a manager course for any type of manager.
Mhm.
And my gut instinct right there is to say, let's get more focused. Because when you're very generic, it sounds like the type of course that you could find on Udemy for $10, or it sounds like something that you could just read in a book.
Mhm.
But when you get more specific, what happens is everything about your course, all of the modules, all of the worksheets, and all of the one-on-ones and whatever, however you're delivering the value, becomes so specific, so fast, and so interesting that you're able to charge more, right?
That's interesting. That's seriously very interesting.
So, for example, if we use your example, can we use your example of where you work?
Yeah, please, please.
If we use our example of a manager working in a SaaS company versus working in a, I don't know, a school or a government. If I'm working in government and I'm a manager, there's going to be so many different needs there than in a SaaS. How you communicate, is this virtual? Is this, what are we talking about? Are we talking about software? And what are the tools that you use in a
Mhm.
SaaS versus the tools here? Do you use Asana? Do you use Trello? Versus here, are you using Google Sheets and Microsoft Project? Are you using the whole Microsoft Office suite to get things done and communicate? Whereas here, you may be using Slack and you're maybe using Zoom and all these other technologies. What are the measures of success? How do you measure success in here versus here? Here, if it's your SaaS, you're linked to the product success. So it's like feature extensions, churn rate,
Mhm.
MRR. How do you bring those things in as a manager and improve those KPIs? Versus if you're in government, then what are the KPIs there? It's, I don't know, voters and donations and votes and I don't know, whatever else. Those are different outcomes that the manager needs to be able to get out of their team. And like, I can clearly see that if I were to teach a manager to be better at decrease, helping his UI designers or whatever developers to
Right.
decrease churn, that's a very different conversation, different context, which will require different tools to get that outcome. Versus here on this end, how do we get more donations? I feel like there's enough difference there
Mhm.
that you could make it so clear, so specific that when you go to market and you show this offer to the person, like if you're a SaaS manager and you say, look, take this course and I will help you decrease your churn rate by 17% month over month. That will speak so clearly and so to the heart of the problem of the SaaS manager that the SaaS manager is
Mhm.
like, this is exactly, how does this person know what I'm thinking? They're speaking exactly my language. They're talking to me specifically about my problem. That's the exact, what we call this 2 a.m. problem that I have when I put my head on my pillow at night, right? Which is usually a good barometer of, are you solving a good enough problem? If you're solving, if your problem, and you can, that's another tip for Courtney. If your manager, if your avatar puts their head on their pillow at night, what is
Mhm.
that one thing that's waking them up at night? Are they saying to themselves, oh, I wish I could be a better manager? Or are they saying, man, I wish I could get my developers to finish all their code on time so that I wouldn't have to go back to my VP and ask for more money. What is it? What is that thing that's keeping them up at night? You want to solve that problem. You want to be the boss at solving that. Because if you can solve that, that SaaS person will gladly hand over their money, pull out their credit card and say, yo, teach me, give me this solution because I'm staying up and I need a solution.
Wow. Here's why I'm amazed by this conversation. Almost 3 years ago, I started writing my book, How to Be a Better Manager. One of the problems that I was facing at that time, because I am in the software, all my experience, all my knowledge is related to software. And in my head, I keep convincing myself that I have to write more generic so that any manager can use, versus being very specific that how to be a good manager in a software company. So I did exact opposite of what you're suggesting. And now just by hearing you, it clarify a lot that I should not have done it.
Mm. Yeah, no, I'm sorry to hear that, Vinod. I'm sorry to hear that you abandoned your product and your book and you came to that realization now. But the this is a fundamental, right? Like what I said to Courtney, don't overlook the fundamentals. This is a fundamental thing that we do in marketing. We have to be very diligent about who we're trying to serve and what problem we're trying to solve, as you do in software, right?
Mm-hmm.
Build things people want. That's the Y Combinator maximum. And when the big outcome of what we're doing with our clients is making sure that we're building things, and those things are courses that people want.
Well, this was the great discussion. We have to keep moving. Thank you so much for this segment. I can say that just by having these last 10 minutes of conversation, I can see the depth you have, and anybody who will hire you will definitely get a lot of benefit from your conversation. I just by talking to you for last 15 minutes, I many things are getting clarified for me. So just imagine that you talking, or your team talking to them for like 6 months, what impact you guys will make.
Thank you, Vino. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, awesome. All right. So let's change the direction. What you wanted to become when you was in high school?
Okay, so the answer to the high school part is I wanted to be a soccer player when I was in high school. I wanted to play professional soccer. That's what I wanted. It had nothing to do with this.
So how did you land into this job? What was your first job or business? And then how did you land to this?
Man, I've been on a very windy road, you know. So I started I think out of high school, the job that I got after that was a graphic designer. I worked in a small agency slicing images for Flash and for, you know, websites built in HTML. And from there, I really loved learning about Photoshop and learning about all that stuff in Dreamweaver and Flash. And later I became like a course creator for government. So I helped them to transform a course into like this Flash course, which had quizzes and animations and things like that. And it was built on top of an LMS. And it was super interesting. And from there, I went into more advertising. And after that, I owned an online gaming league. So it's like this website that would create game tournaments online, and I would sell the tournaments to different sponsors. We had like StarCraft and FIFA, Halo, different tournaments online. And after that, I moved back into a marketing agency. And when I was at the marketing agency, my mom, she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. And so I wanted to spend as much time as I could with my mom. And so I decided to leave the agency, because if you've ever worked in an agency, you know there are endless hours that you put into that. So I found a client to do some web design work because I still knew I could make websites for people. I signed a client and then I gave my notice. And through that, when I came back to web design, I realized that there's so much that changed in the industry. Just so much. I studied right when I left the agency, I started taking as many courses as I could, from SEO to paid advertising, email marketing, content marketing, as much as I could. And I would slowly start to implement those things with my clients. And it wasn't until, several years of doing that, kind of just taking whatever jobs I could, that somebody reached out to me saying, "Hey, Marcio, this guy in California, he has a blog, he also has a course, he needs help with some SEO." And his website is radreads.co, and his name is Kehi. We started working on a small SEO scope, but then after that, he says, "Hey, can you help me sell more of my course?" And it was through that relationship where I was able to help him go from 5-figure launches, where he was doing 5-figure launches, and helping him to go to 6-figure launches. I was like, wow, this is really fun. It's a smaller company. I was used to working with much bigger brands. And it was that relationship and that impact that really interests me in helping more course creators. I really like having one-on-one conversations and being able to say, hey, just change this 1 or 2, 3 things, and you go and try this. And hey, you maybe you should try, 1 of these 2, 3 things. Let's change these things around. Let's do these experiments. So that type of thing really interested me. And so I just decided, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to focus on this group. This is a group that I think I can help. I can serve. I have this one case study. And then after that, I just started getting more and more clients, working one-on-one with them, helping them go to 6 figures. And that's where I'm at now.
How many years you've been doing this?
I've been doing this now, I feel like it's been 2 years already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. This is a constant with everybody I interview. They go through these different cycles, different type of things, and then they figure where they are. So it's amazing to see. And if I go back 10, 20 years, that curiosity that how my life will be, what I will be doing, and the emotion that are attached to that one specific job that you and I was doing like 15 years ago, today it doesn't even matter what project was that and all. So it's so powerful. The journey itself is so powerful.
Yeah.
During this entire journey, was there any patch where you was kind of not sure what next is?
Oh yeah, definitely. Many times. I think at every transition is filled with uncertainty. And every time I transitioned was usually when I was changing countries. So I moved around a few times, and every time I moved, I was like, well, what the heck am I going to do here now? Nobody knows me. I have to reinvent myself or figure out something. I have to recycle my skills, reframe things. And I kind of just went through that over and over again. And this is another reason why I'm very interested in course creators, because the underlying current that's driving course creation is change, right? It's, if you're in a market that is being pushed by change, you need to create more and more courses or update your course for that industry. And there will be endless amounts of course created because there's more specificity required. And we talked about, if you can create something, a specific solution to a specific avatar in a specific way, being a course, that is great. So the more things get more specific, the more things get more difficult in markets. That's actually a good rationalization why there will be more courses in that industry. So from a market perspective, I was also interested in the growth opportunity. So that's another reason why I got into, working on courses.
You feeling down to find what next is?
I think right now, I'll tell you about right now, because in the past it was different, but right now what I've been doing, or what I did, was take things one day at a time. There are some days where progress seems so slow, right? You're working and you're working, it seems like you're doing so much work, but you're not moving the needle. And on those days and those weeks and those months, I always had to remind myself that, Rome wasn't built in a day, that I'm doing a lot of the things underneath, under the surface, learning and studying and trying and experimenting and failing. And because it's really this fundamental stuff that's going to help you on, in the future. And so whenever I got stuck, when I was feeling down, I was like, let me just make a few small improvements today.
Mhm.
And this takes, I think, a little bit of patience, but even before that, you need a little bit of awareness as well. So I think you need to be aware of, well, what is the thing that I can change
Mhm.
today that will have an impact 2 weeks from now, or a month from now, or 6 months from now? Doing that is hard, and I'm not the best at it, but it has been a practice that has helped me to make moves, right? So it has helped me to get to where I am. And I think one thing I'll add to that is you have to be willing, at least this is something that I told myself, is I have to be willing to say no
Mhm.
to incoming offers and incoming requests and incoming opportunities if I'm going to work on something that is going to help me in the future. Because otherwise, at least this is my experience, I'm always being, pulled around, yanked around. Hey, can you help me with this? Hey, can you help me with that? Hey, can you come to this? Hey, there's this event, this course, this opportunity, this whatever it is. If I continue just to go on that path, I will never be focused enough to really build my own program, build up my
Mhm.
own course, build my own team, and build things this way. So it on the other side, so I said patience, I said awareness. The other thing I think is a little bit of courage, because you have to say, at least for me, I've had to say
Yeah.
no to a lot of money. There's been a lot of money on the table, like, hey, we have this, there's this contract, this project, this is like, that's a lot. But no, I'm gonna say no because I'm gonna build this now, and it will be worth it in the future.
And my problem is saying no to myself because I go after shiny objects,
Mm.
and how to keep focus and just doing this thing. So yeah, it's hard. Um, it's very hard
Yeah, it's hard.
to say no to yourself.
Yeah.
You were saying there's certain activity that you did to keep yourself up.
Yeah, so when it comes to the online marketing courses and things like that, when I first, you know, decided to leave the agency and start my own thing,
Mhm.
I took courses on this platform called Market Motive, and I don't know if they still exist or not, but I remember taking the course there, and the first course I took with this brilliant guy named Avinash Kaushik, and he is an absolute maniac when it comes to web analytics. I've never seen somebody that loves their job more than him. And I think I was really lucky to find him. It was a friend of mine that recommended. So I learned a lot from him. I got a lot of his passion for web analytics. This is something that I still love
Mhm.
till today, is to be inside Google Analytics and be very understanding about what's going on and using that as a tool for us to make better decisions. So market motive was a big one, but I've taken, man, endless dozens, thousands. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on courses, on coaches. Um, I've read, dozens of book. Cialdini is on my shelf with Influence. It's probably, one of those best books that you have to read if you're a marketer. There's a recent one that just came out, $100 million offers, from Alex Hermosi, which is really
Mhm.
great, as well as very helpful. So I don't know, I'll give you those two books and some courses there
Okay.
for you to think about.
What is your goal setting method? How you are identifying what's next 2 year, 5 year looks like?
I don't have such a wide time horizon. Most of the goals that I'm setting are 6 to 12 months out. And so usually I'm not the most diligent about that, most disciplined about setting the goals and sort of breaking them down. But I do always have a very clear focus on where I'm going. So, um, for where I want to take Nerd Digital right now, I have these written out and I have them, pasted in front of me, and
Mhm.
I look at them and I review them frequently enough that I never lose track of them. And on a weekly basis, I ask myself, have I made progress towards this goal? What can I take out of my way that I can get me there?
Mhm.
Or what can I put in my way? What can I do more of to get me closer to that goal? And it's, as you were saying about saying no, it's a constant battle of like, okay, what else can I say no to so I can get closer to that? So I hope I answered your question.
You did. Comfortable sharing those goals?
Yeah, so our goal for right now for Nerd Digital is to help 1,000 course creators get to six figures, right?
Okay.
So to take them from to six figures, help 1,000 companies. That's what I want to do.
What's your typical day look like? Include the time management method.
Right. You asked about the time management. So my time is pretty strict. I'm up early in the morning. Usually, I wake up first and I make breakfast for everybody. I usually do some stretches, brush my teeth, that type of thing. Serve breakfast, pack my son's lunch. Then I'll walk him over to school, hug him goodbye, wish him a good day, and then I'll come home. And at that time, I'll have some coffee, and then I'll get right into work. And I don't usually schedule any meetings until the afternoon because I want to have as much, time to have deep work as possible.
Mhm.
One thing I forgot to say is that usually on Sundays I set my week up, and so I
Okay.
do a weekly review on Sundays where I look at like the past week, look at what I want to do for this week, and I go into my calendar and I'll um, plan out everything that I want for that week. And so I'll put things on my calendar, I'll name them and say, okay, this is for the podcast. And before the podcast, I have my podcast prep. And after my podcast, I might have my podcast steps that I want to do after that. And on Monday, I have a specific scope of SEO that I want to think through. I make sure that I bucket those things throughout the week and label them and set myself like to busy and make sure that I actually do them. I find that that's one small thing that makes a huge
Mhm.
difference. And the last thing I'll say about time management that really helps me is to go to bed early. I think if I'm able to go to bed by 9:30, everything really falls into place for me and I'm super productive. If I end up going to bed later than that, it's not as good.
And I think you said your weekend is where you relax, and other than Sunday, you typically relax.
So I didn't mention my weekends, but on Saturday, usually I'm doing something with Johnny and my family. Johnny's my son, he's 6, and my other son is Rio. And we usually go to some birthday party, we'll go skating, I don't know, walk around, go biking or something. And on Sunday morning I play soccer with some buddies. And then
Mhm.
Sunday afternoon, usually I'll hang out with my family again. And then Sunday night, we do reflection as a family, and I'll do my weekly review.
Is there a question that I did not ask, but you want to answer?
Oh, I think you're pretty thorough, nothing that's coming to mind right now.
Do you have a question for me?
Have you created your own course?
I have not. I didn't even think about creating yet. I'm trying to focus on this channel, which will have like 4 type of content: informational, deep dive, career journey podcast, which is what we're doing right now, some personal finance, budget, hobby related items.
Okay, awesome.
My last question for you is, do you have a message for the audience?
I would say that if you're stuck with your course creation, you've maybe created a course, but you're not sure how to scale it, then reach out to us at nerddigital.com. That's nerddigital.com. My name is Marcio, and I'd be delighted to help you reach six figures. It was a pleasure speaking with you, Vinod. Thank you again for opening up some space for me and having me on and being so generous.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.